basement of La Penta. It's WICR.
Hello, Iona College. Welcome back to the WICR Morning Show. Jersey Joe and Ian Sachs moving along on today, a very nice October Monday. It's getting a little chilly outside, Ian, and I'm getting upset because I got to pack up all my shorts. You know, it's getting to that time.
Joe, you don't need to talk to me about not liking it getting cold. The lowest it should ever go is 65.
I agree.
I think anytime it's under 65 or even I'll give you 60. I'll give you 60.
Okay.
But it's
reasonable.
It's just I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
I do not like it, Joe.
You know, it's just that transition. Though the good thing about it is you've got basketball season coming up, and whenever the weather starts to get like this, that happens. But man, the weather, it's just not fun. It really isn't, because you see, I get to color coordinate my shorts to match the jersey. But when you do the winter, you just gotta grab the warmest thing you can find. That's all. It's a survival. It's a battle against the cold.
Really, the only thing that I like about the winter is that it's college basketball and NBA season.
There you go.
Take those two things away, I'll hibernate for 4 months.
There you go. And here's the thing about basketball too is basketball jerseys, when you wear them, it's about shorts. Sometimes you can wear them with the sweatpants and stuff like that, but basketball jerseys are worn best with shorts. And so I think the cold and we have a tough relationship there. But speaking of the cold, actually I don't know how this relates to cold at all, but we're going into college football.
The colder it gets, the closer that you're getting to the college football
to the playoff. There, see, Ian, that's why you and we've got that chemistry thing working right now. You pick me up right there, beautiful. So let's get into. We have some major changes. From Ian and I before the show were talking about it. Just literally, we sat at our couch from 12 o'clock on. I was locked into college football from 12 o'clock till 1:30 in the morning with the UCLA game. There wasn't a bad game of the day. It was by far the best weekend of college football, and the upsets we had, it was just insanity. Every hour of the day was just pure insanity.
You know what? This is why you love college football.
It is.
I know that ESPN and ABC used to have the slogan, every week could change the season, and you certainly saw that. Now, I know it's different because there's the playoff in place, which is great, but it's just a phenomenal week of games, upsets everywhere, 2, 3, and 4 all going down this weekend. College football has just been insane. Joe, you and I were talking about it before we went on the air this morning, and I said that once you really get to October, that's when college football really heats up.
Absolutely.
This is the first weekend in October, and look at what happened.
Insane. It was just I'll go over the new coaches poll now because we'll set the ground for that and then build off there. So the top 10 now, as of the changes, is number 1 Florida State 5-0. Actually, well, pretty much all these teams until you get to 7, everyone is undefeated so far. So you Florida State 1, Auburn 2, Baylor 3, Mississippi 4, Notre Dame 5, Mississippi State 6. Alabama is the first team to in the top 10 with a loss at 7. You have Michigan State at 8, Oklahoma at 9, and finally Georgia at 10. Oregon falls to 11. So that is the new top 10. And the one thing I'm going to start, and I'm going to ask you this, Ian. For me, I think there's the only team we will see maybe finish the season undefeated is Florida State. I think everybody else on this list is going to have at least one loss. Especially, I think Auburn, for me, is the best team in the country at the moment. But Auburn's schedule, they just play too many tough SEC teams. They're going to lose a game. Florida State, I think, has the best chance to still go undefeated. But for you, do you think anybody has a chance of still going undefeated?
Ooh, I think there's always a chance for someone to go undefeated. But I think when you look at the SEC teams, you have to either put it together every single week or have some chips fall your way. And I think that just just looking at the way that we had so many teams lose this weekend, so many top teams lose this weekend, I don't even know if anybody could make it through. I mean, yeah, Florida State had a huge win over Wake Forest, but Wake Forest...
And that was a close game until about the third quarter. I mean, until the top of the third quarter, that was not a blowout for a long time.
And Wake Forest is not...
Oh, terrible.
Right.
They're horrible.
So I think when you look at the teams in the SEC, Auburn, Mississippi State, I think just the schedule in the SEC playing top team after top team after top team after top team is gonna wear you down, and at some week you're just not gonna have it all.
I agree.
So,
And I mean, that's why, I mean, I think Auburn for me, I mean, Florida State, the main reason I don't like them is because they haven't shown a dominant, hands down, we're reminding you we're the defending champions. I haven't seen that game yet, and I want to see that before I'm really sold on Florida State, because if Auburn and Florida State played this weekend, Auburn would run over Florida State. It's just the way it would happen. So right now, I'm just not that big on Florida State.
I think this Florida State team kind of reminds me a little bit of Notre Dame. Maybe 2 years ago, was it? The year
when they lost to Alabama?
Yeah. That, they're not that, blowing people out, but they're just getting the little breaks that they need and staying up there at the top undefeated. Now, do I think they are the best team in the country? No.
Yep, I agree.
But I think that they're getting the chips to fall for them. And that's really what it is in college football. It's not always going to be, are you the best team? It's going to be, do you get the breaks, and are you the best team on one given day?
And that's a great point. Going back to Auburn last year, Auburn had so many games last year that literally were just miraculous. I mean, you think of the Alabama game that they won on that at the end. You think of the Georgia game they won. I mean, they had so many big games where that one huge miraculous play happened and they won. And you're right, sometimes in college football, that's just half the battle. Can you make that play? Can you just find a way to win sometimes?
And I think that's what we're seeing from Florida State this year. That, they're not going to blow people out. They're not as powerful as they were last year. But this year, they're just, I don't want to say getting all the breaks. I mean, they're still a good team. They're still the defending national champions.
Too much talent on that team.
Right. But it just seems like this year they're the team getting all those breaks. And well, if you look at Notre Dame, who we compared them to from a few years ago, Auburn last year, those teams got all the way to the championship and then lost it. So I think it seems like Florida State's good. I think Florida State might very well run the table to the playoff because they just seem to be getting those breaks. But I think when it comes down to it and they're playing other teams that are ranked in the top four, they're not going to stack up against them, and they're going to run into a superior team.
And that's what I wanted to go to next, because I agree with you. I think they really do. There's only one game on the schedule that I circled on Saturday after their game that I think is potential. I think Notre Dame, Florida State is going to be a very interesting game. Florida State's going to play North Carolina this weekend, so they should get past North Carolina. North Carolina is not as good this year as they have been the last couple of years, but I've liked Notre Dame so much more than I did at the start of the season. The main thing I love about Notre Dame is Everett Golson. I mean, it's been sloppy at some times, but his ability to throw the ball now has made him such a dynamic playmaker. I mean, you go back like we were mentioning before Notre Dame 2 years ago, Everett Golson was a one-trick pony. The guy was just run the ball, could not throw the ball for his life. But his evolution in the passing game, his threat to run makes him such a dynamic quarterback. I love Everett Golson's improvement. And Notre Dame just overall, they found ways to win. They beat Stanford this weekend. Notre Dame's a good football team, And Florida State and Notre Dame is going to be a really good game. I mean, if I had to make the pick right now, I'd go Florida State. But after this weekend, I don't know. I think it's going to be a heck of a football game.
I was really impressed with the way that Notre Dame beat Stanford. I think Stanford is a great team. But hey, look at Notre Dame. They're a team that has really surprised me this year. I wasn't expecting much from Notre Dame. And look at where they are. They're in the top 10, one of 6 unbeaten teams in the country. It's Notre Dame's a good team, but I feel like there's going to be 1 or 2 teams that's undefeated right now, and then they're just going to go on a losing streak, lose maybe 3 in a row, and then fall maybe out of the top 25, and then we'll look back at this week and say, wow, remember when they were in the top 5 and undefeated and ranked ahead of Oklahoma, Alabama, Oregon. I don't know which team it's going to be, but I definitely know that there's going to be one of those teams that's going to be like, how were they ranked so highly now?
Well, I'll tell you right now, I think number 3 Baylor, number 4 Mississippi, and number 6 Mississippi State all have a very good chance to lose this weekend. Mississippi State, who are coming off the win against A&M, they're playing Auburn this weekend. And look, I mean, they've had a great stretch. They beat LSU, they beat A&M, now they play Auburn. That's the SEC, folks. I mean, that's what you deal with. And it's hard to see a team beating LSU, then A&M, and then Auburn all in a 3-week span. That is just brutal. Mississippi, who beat Alabama, great game. But this week they're playing Texas A&M, which, again, A&M maybe not as good as we thought. I mean, they haven't been as good against the dominant teams, but Kenny Hill can throw the football. This is going to be another brutal game coming off a huge game against Alabama. And then 3 Baylor is playing TCU, who just handed it to Oklahoma, really just stood there every moment of the game. So all 3 of those teams have a legit chance. I think Mississippi State, out of all of them, I'm picking Auburn to win that game. But still, I mean, these are 3 tough games. They really are.
I look to Baylor to win. I think
Baylor will find a way to win.
I think they just have too much offensive firepower, and TCU might be a little too high on themselves
coming off this win, yeah.
After just beating Oklahoma. So I think Baylor will win. Now the 2 Mississippi schools, I could see both of them losing this week. And the reason for that is, as you said, Mississippi State having LSU, A&M, and now Auburn this week. I mean, Auburn definitely is the best team of those 3 that they're playing, and as you said, that's the SEC for you. That's what Florida State and some of the other teams in the top aren't facing.
Yeah.
They don't have LSU, A&M, Auburn back to back to back. So I think that's why that's the strength of the SEC, and that's why the SEC teams are so good. But it hurts them because when you have so many good teams back to back to back, it wears you down by the end of the season. And when you have that 3rd game, you're like, oh my gosh, can we get a little easier game, like a Wake Forest or someone, So I think for Mississippi State, it's just finally gonna take its toll on them, and it sucks for them that the 3rd game is against the strongest team of those 3. So I definitely look for Auburn to continue there and roll over Mississippi State, and then for Ole Miss, I kind of look at Ole Miss. I'm not buying into them.
I'm not a Bo Wallace guy. I'm too inconsistent for me.
I'm not buying into them. I'm kind of looking at this like when they upset Florida Tim Tebow's junior year.
Yeah.
They pull off the upset against one of the top teams in the SEC, and then it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
This team might be for real. And then after that, do you remember Florida and Ole Miss had like a complete opposite
Oh yeah,
turn of events.
Because I thought I thought Florida's season was done after that point, and then things just really just changed. It was that was a weird season.
Right. Then Florida doesn't lose another game, and if I remember correctly, I think Ole Miss just tanked.
Yeah.
After that, it was like we beat Florida, now we can end our season, and so I kind of see a little bit coming out of Ole Miss the same way, like, okay, we beat Alabama now, and we accomplished what we wanted to this season, so we're good now. So I see A&M bouncing back and winning this game over Ole Miss.
See, I really like the new culture there in Ole Miss, and I think they're definitely there to play. I agree. I think right now I'm probably leaning towards A&M as well. Mainly though, for me it's more I'm not a Bo Wallace guy. You know, a little too inconsistent for me. He stepped up. He played a great game against Alabama, but I think they're just overall great thoughts on college football. I mean, just such by far the best weekend of college football. I mean, there's more games that we could have got to, but we don't have too much time left, and I want to make sure we get to some NFL. I got some things to ask Ian Sachs about his Patriots. I want to ask him some things about his division, so we will come back with the remaining time we have, get to the NFL stuff, but great thoughts on college football. Stay tuned with us.